Hello and welcome to Check 1 2, where we give you the lowdown on testicular cancer by talking to survivors, advocates and supporters of testicular cancer awareness here at the world famous podcast studio Glasgow. So get ready for today as I sit down with one heck of a guest, Jamie Keeble, the co-founder of North Yorkshire's renowned food company Heck. Today, Jamie shares his inspiring journey from discovery to recovery, shedding light on that critical importance of early detection and ending that stigma that often surrounds discussions about testicular cancer. Thanks for coming on Check 1 2. If you just like to kind of give your story and we'll go for there.
Yeah, so Jamie from North Yorkshire, and I have a sausage business called Heck Food. Which we make basically bangers, burgers and balls, and we supply every major retailer in the UK apart from Marks and Spencer's basically. We launched the brand back in 2012, so over 10 years now, which has been a hell of a crazy journey, to be honest with you. And we've only really got started, and it's fantastic to come up here and talk to you about my story with testicular cancer, which is something that affected me back in 2015, which seems like a hell of a long time ago. It's one of those things that I've almost forgotten on a day-to-day basis, which is a testament to the recovery I've had, really. And I'd love to tell my story and get that word across that, you know, you can have an absolutely perfectly normal life if you get checked early, which is key.
Yeah, and it's funny because our testicular cancer journeys happened around the same time. I was 2015 as well. So we probably would have been kind of going through treatment that same year. Mm-hmm. How was your testicular cancer journey in terms of, you know, how did you find it? Were you aware of how to look for and feel for stuff and things like that?
Going back, I mean, no, I had nothing to do with testicular cancer at all. Never heard of it. No one in my family's ever had it. None of my friends have ever had it. So it's a funny one. I discovered it when after playing five-a-side football one night. I was living in a flat by myself, and I was sort of just getting unchanged and chucking my stuff into the laundry. And then I don't know, I must have had an itch or something. I just had to have a feel for some reason, and then I discovered a lump, not too big. I think it was maybe size of a 5p coin, something like that. But I knew straight away, as soon as I felt it, that it wasn't right. Mm-hmm. So immediately this horrible sort of ghost-like feeling that goes through your body hit me. And I basically the next morning went straight to my local GP. And it was a lady, and she had a good feel. And she said there was nothing really to worry about. It could be, you know, a cyst, or it could be something much worse. So she couldn't give me an answer right there and then. So left with more questions than answers. And then, told my parents about it, and they said, look, you need to get it sorted, you need to get it checked. So that next day, or maybe that afternoon, I went to a private doctor, and he said, yeah, that could be something a bit more worse than it originally thought. So, and from there, it just sort of spiraled over a 2-week event of just worry and not knowing what the hell was around the corner, I suppose. Mm. But as soon as I sort of got it diagnosed, I guess the thing that really sort of scared me was being ill for a long time, being stuck in a bed, lose all your hair, and, you know, this horrible images you see of people on the back of cigarette packs. You know, that's why I thought it was going to happen to me. But thankfully it didn't.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that goes through everybody's mind, because when you hear like chemotherapy and things like that, you don't necessarily think, you know, just this nice easy journey. You know, you think chemotherapy and it's like, oh my God, it's people looking dead ill, you know, and being young, being fit and healthy obviously puts the frighteners on you even more as well, especially when it's to do with your balls as well, you know.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, that sort of 12-month period when I got the cancer, I felt like I was a bit on like a soap opera. I had quite a lot of stuff going in my sort of personal life coming into that, and discovering I had the lump was like the cherry on the top of the cake, really.
Yeah.
I felt like I was on Coronation Street or something, you know. But thankfully everything worked out okay. But when I discovered the lump and I went to go and see the radio therapist, or is that the right word?
Radiographer.
Radiographer.
Yeah.
He was quite a young guy, young in the profession, I think, and he didn't know sort of what I was coming to see for or whatever. So he said, what's wrong with you? And I said, I've got a lump in my testicle. I said, all right, okay. So he started scanning it, and he basically said right there and then, yep, that's got to come off. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was it. Just really clean and blunt. That's got to come off. And when he said it to me, I was like, right, okay. Then got changed, walked outside. My parents were waiting for me, and as we were walking back outside the hospital, I said, right, we'll go and see what happens in the follow-up opinion. I says, no, it's got to come off. So they're like, what? So they lost their shit a little bit, and got really worried. And that's when it really hit me where, oh Christ, when you see the look on someone else's face,
yeah,
they're like really scared for you. That's when it sort of reflects back onto you. Think, oh Christ, this is not good news.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a tough moment, definitely, in my life. Probably one of the toughest moments ever.
Especially if you've had a lot going into that as well. It's like if you've got a life that's almost like a country song.
Yeah.
And then you get that diagnosis. I was with my wife when I got my diagnosis. I can vaguely remember, like, we were laughing and joking because I had this like comedy of things happen in the radiographer appointment. But when we went to, she said, I think you're going to have to go back and see the consultant. And I was like, I didn't really put two and two together that I was going straight for her to see the consultant again. And then when he started saying, yeah, it looks like it's cancer, it just felt like everything was kind of coming in and got just dead blinkered. And I can just remember sitting going, yeah, okay. And he's going, well, we're going to have to operate. Yeah, okay. There wasn't much coming out.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. Like when you invited me to come and speak with you, I had to really sort of go back, because I've almost forgotten what it was like. I almost that sort of memory. I guess you close up and you tuck it somewhere in the back of your brain, and you don't really want to think about it again. And I've managed to do that, and then to actually try and retrace the steps of the process that I went through. It sort of brings it all back, and it definitely was a challenging moment. And the scariest thing was that you didn't know if you were going to make it, because that early on, you don't know if it's spread, you don't know if it's gone somewhere else. So all these questions were going through my mind at that point. But luckily enough, I got it early. I think I was stage 1, creeping into stage 2.
Right.
And if I'd waited any longer, that could have been a different journey for me. So I only had 1 round of chemo, just as a precaution, really, to make sure the cancer cells had stopped growing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So very, very lucky. And actually, the chemo was the worst bit. I don't know about you, if you had to have more than 1 round. Or
I got 2. And I was just in the periphery of needing to, because I think in England it had changed from. So I think I was the same as yourself. I was like stage 1 creeping into stage 2. Yeah. But it hadn't quite changed over to just the 1 dose at that point. So yeah, I ended up with the 2.
But that was the worst bit. The chemo was definitely the worst bit. I mean,
horrible.
It was just like, oh Christ, it's like being seasick for like a week and a bit or whatever it was. And I come with a meal I had after having the chemo was like southern fried chicken, like fillets or something like that. And now I can't even. The thought of it actually makes me feel sick, to be honest with you. I can't even eat it. So it's ruined it for me. It's ruined KFC for me.
Oh, that's it. It's done. But with in doing the podcast, we've had so many like conversations like this. It's like, the chemo really does. If there's one thing that you really enjoy, it will take it away from you. Because you're like, at the minute you're going through that, mine was the smell of lavender. Like it made me. I'm okay now, but see, for years, I mean, I just be like, with the smell of lavender. Yeah. But it's interesting as well that you caught it early, but you caught it early because your concern wasn't allayed by like the kind of GP when you first went. And again, we found, that I always think I was dead lucky. My GP went, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to send you to the get it scanned really quickly. I think I was like 2 days and I was up there. But we've had a couple of guys in who were told, it might be nothing, and then it was going to be anything up to 6 months to get a scan. And I think that's the biggest challenge is challenging that stigma, even for GPs,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, God, if I had to wait for 6 months for a scan, I don't know what I'd do. I'd take it out myself. But no, I was really fortunate. Within a couple of days, I managed to get it solved. But yeah, no, that definitely needs sorting. I mean, waiting that long to get a scan is ridiculous, and mental torture and anything. And that's the difference between life and death. At the end of the day, mine was quite a quick, fast-growing tumour, so waiting an extra a week or two could have been, catastrophic in terms of my life. So I'm very grateful that I was quick. Well, having the thought process to get something done straight away, I guess, because I've had no illness before, no real dealings with hospitals or anything like that. No one in my family really has either. So I guess I was kind of naive in that way, not to be scared, I guess. But I just knew something wasn't right, and that thought process, I need to get it done straight away. So, but a lot of young guys are scared.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that what you're doing, trying to get that message across. Just go and get it checked. That's all you have to do. It's really simple. It might be something, it might be nothing. But it's that sort of peace of mind is key, really. It really is.
I think, and it's interesting as well that, to have these conversations and talk about it, and to know that guys don't have conversations like this naturally.
Yeah.
And and I'm learning so much about just people's cancer journeys and how they dealt with that. But to be able to kind of say, look, it's all right, two complete strangers are able to sit and talk about bollocks. I think that's quite a unique circumstance I find myself in that. So see, when you're saying that, obviously you're having to kind of go back and fish out the memories as such. How was that for you? Because I mean, I know because of my job now, I've had to really think about testicular cancer and kind of be in it. But for you to cast your mind back, did that have any kind of emotional effect on you at all, or?
I can remember the only thing that really sort of I get emotional about is thinking about the unknown, and that moment where I thought I was going to be stuck in a hospital for months on end. That was the only thing that really scared for me. So thinking back to that moment, that's probably the strongest emotion I've got of being really scared. But apart from that, I mean, the whole journey from the operation to the chemo, then getting back to work was probably about 2 months. Yeah. And I probably came back about too quickly, actually, because I can remember I was working at the NEC in Birmingham, do a consumer event, a good food show there, so it's a big event. And my scar sort of ripped open and got infected. And that was like, I don't know if you had the same thing or not, I got a bit of an infection, but it's like being shot down there. It was bloody painful.
Yeah.
So I probably came back a bit too quickly, but because the business was at a point where it was growing so quickly, it was great just to get straight back on the horse, and that really got me over it very, very quickly as well.
Right.
So keeping busy is an amazing sort of medicine as well, I think.
Yeah, having that focus on something rather than just...
Definitely, yeah. And I think, within maybe 6 months, I think I sort of met Liv, my wife, and that's when I sort of trying to woo her. And she was avoiding me like the plague. And within a year from having treatment, we were seeing each other, so that was nice as well. So, just putting that hole behind me and just cracking on with life and the business as well was just a great medicine for me. To put it behind me, really. But I did have, there was definitely a 2-3 year period where I was always conscious and thinking about it most days that it could return and go into the other one, and so that never really left my mind, really. And you probably still get the odd itch or whatever it is, and it just keeps you thinking, oh Christ, that could be coming back. That's the first thing you think about, really, because any sort of ache or pain down there is scary for anybody. But apart from that, day to day now, I don't really think about it as much at all, which is great.
I think it's that thing as well. Is like I had an issue just recently as well. So I woke up in the middle of the night just recently and felt like somebody had kicked me between the legs.
Right.
And I was like, geez. So I went to the kind of doctors, and looks like it was just an infection, but see, until I kind of saw somebody, and even then, you're still going, oh, please don't be cancer again. Please don't be. You get really, it is a worrying thing. And that's, I think probably as well, you'd be the same, where every month and every 3 months you were in getting bloods and checks and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to go into the beating now with the boxes that we give to guys.
Mm-hmm.
But see, sometimes going into the halls, I have this feeling of dread, and even if it's a positive thing, so it can affect you quite predominantly for a long time.
Yeah, I think seeing it as well, like you do on a more day-to-day basis, and working with guys who've had it, it definitely probably brings it back more to you, I suppose. And I don't know too many people in my sort of social circle and friends and family who've had it. A couple of my dad's friends actually had it, and they turned out okay. And it was just like wasn't really spoken of like how it is now. So you're learning about people you wouldn't have thought have ever had it, and just cracked on. And there's so many people actually in the sort of public eye as well who've had it as well, and they're sort of talking about it more, which is quite good, really. And I think it's what everyone should be doing.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I think as well, you look at like even within like sport and all that, there are other cancers that quite rightfully get mentioned, but it would just take rugby and football as the amount of young sportsmen who get testicular cancer, and it's not something that's overly pushed still, that testicular cancer awareness, unfortunately, and I think that's what it's what we're trying to do with Cahonas. Like, I mean, we got told once that we're just booting down doors because like we're getting in places and trying to get that message across.
No, it's key, and we did something with our business as well. We did the following November, so I had my treatment in the springtime, March or April, can't remember what, and then November was coming up, and we worked with Movember, and we did a charity pack and raised some money on there, which was fantastic. And I did my story in the back of the pack and went to a few consumer shows and just spreading the word. And so many people just came up to me afterward and thought, oh, that's amazing what you've done. Now I'm checking every day. And one lad, I was probably around Christmas time, I was having a few drinks with mates, and he came up to me, someone I didn't really know, and he said, oh, because of you, I got checked out. It was nothing, but I was worrying about it for a long time. So helping just that one person to get checked out was it's worthwhile. It definitely is.
100%.
But yeah, it was a really successful campaign actually, and anything that I can do to help spread the word, I'm game for, absolutely, because I know how important it is.
And I take it that going through something as big as having testicular cancer, obviously it'll influence you in lots of different ways. Like as a business, you look on your website and it's all very kind of health orientated. Is that something you've kind of strived for anyway?
We strive for that anyway. There is that big sort of you read it in the Daily Mail every day. Processed meat or whatever it is, sausages on burgers give you cancer. You got the high risk of getting cancer, that kind of stuff, really. But so you do get a bit of flack because you're a sausage business and you're promoting, health and all that kind of stuff. But everything in moderation is absolutely fine. And of course, we sell actually more chicken products than we do pork or beef nowadays. So it's crazy how quickly the business has transformed, actually. And we are known as that sort of healthy alternative of a sausage, really. If you want to indulge a little bit, you can do as well. So we that's where we sort of roll. That's the role we play in the category, I guess. But no, any sort of cause that we can help raise awareness for, being a brand that's in the public eye, it's in pretty much every single supermarket in the UK.
Yeah.
I think we have a responsibility to do that. Absolutely. We worked with for breast cancer as well this year, and that was another successful campaign. One thing that did irk me a little bit, we did a really good campaign with Movember the first time round, and I think they were just kind of growing as well, like we were as a business. I don't know how old they were, but they weren't massive at that point. And then the following year, we said, oh, let's do it again. Let's go bigger and better. And something happened in their team and their view of handling different business. They saw us more like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, right. And they wanted a bigger commitment out of us, and I thought was a bit wrong, really. Because the whole point we're doing, all we want to do is just tell our story and spread the word to get checked. That's it. Yeah. That's all it was, really. And they wanted a bigger sort of corporate commitment out of us, and it didn't sit well with us, really. So unfortunately, we had to not do it again, but we can still spread the word to get checked. We don't need a big charity to come on board with us. The simple fact is,
a small charity,
Well, yeah, no, exactly. Guys like speaking to you as well, having a similar story to me, I'd be more than happy to sort of support. Absolutely, because that's all it is. It's not about selling more packs of sausages. It's literally just spreading the word. Get checked. Simple message. Change the mentality of young guys who are scared to go to the GP. And if you can do it with just one guy, I mean, it's worth doing.
Yeah,
it really is.
And it's nice hearing that from like a business owner, and a business owner that's as big as heck is as well. Like to have that like social kind of health responsibility for not just because your employees will be infected by cancers, you know, and then having that responsibility in terms of your consumers as well, which is, it's really refreshing to hear, you know, and to have that. Yeah, it's just getting that message out there, which it really benefits everybody, you know, and it's and you can see that, especially, you know, when you've done the kind of breast cancer one, it was like the packs were the bra and stuff like that. I mean, that's excellent, you know, that you can have that ability to do stuff and pull that eye in as well. Yeah,
well, that's all down to the guys in the team, really. You know, they come up with the ideas, and my wife Liv, she designs all the packaging as well, so that's handy. So we can turn things on very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But that's something else the brand's known for. We're known for our sort of quirky seasonal flavours and the packaging we can have a bit of fun with as well. So we've got a good audience as well, with that sort of good sort of social space to be able to communicate to those people, and when it's for a good cause, we can easily turn it around. So it's one of the strengths of our business. It really is.
Yeah, and it's quite amazing to see that. Yeah. And again, that social responsibility that you can see from Heck is really, like I say, and want to repeat myself, it's refreshing.
Good.
You know, because I think it's because we notice it when, as a charity, so when we go to businesses, you can sometimes feel what's this charity want? And it's the handout thing. And we're very much like, it's about our message, you know, it's like one of our biggest things is to go in and try and do talks with like employees, even if it's online, if it's in person, great. But you do sometimes, if you get people past the charity thing, you know, and I think they've probably had situations similar to yourself, it becomes this gimme. And that's not the best way to go around any partnership at all. You know, it has to be a little bit of kind of like just softly, you know, let's do things together.
Let's do things together. How are we going to go bigger? How are we going to go better? How are we going to spread the message across the most effective way? And that's got to be the sole conversation, not about partnership or fees that come involved. Like, you really are missing the point. What this is all about. So that was upsetting when we stopped working with them on that basis, really. But I mean, there's other guys such as yourselves that we'd love to work with, and you know, it's just that simple message: get checked, really easy. Yeah. And if we can just save one person and they go to the doctors and get checked straight away, it's just worth it. It really is.
Well, that's like you're saying, like that, like in your social circle, that guy coming up to you and saying, you know, if it wasn't for you, maybe I wouldn't. And I get that quite a lot as well. If I'm doing a talk, I'll do a talk to one person, I'll do it to 1,000 people. But if one person goes away and does their check that day, I know that I've done my job well, you know, and it's really good because like some of the football clubs we've went to, you get a lot of feedback from the players, and there's been multiple players have kind of reached out afterwards. I mean, listen, I've had an issue, or like I've got this thing just now, and you know, it's like, well, just go to the club doctor. You know, it's like you say, it's such an easy message about testicular cancer awareness. It's check yourself. If there's something not right, go to a doctor.
Yeah, and I think it's probably easiest for us to say, but before I had cancer, I do see the issue now, because even talking about, you know, your genitals is just. It's just unheard of. It really is. Or it really is. Even whipping them out to a complete stranger it's actually a nuts thing to think about. It really is. But
I'm not going to ask you to do that, by the way.
But I wouldn't care anyway. It's happened so many times. I just don't care. Anyone can have a touch. But yeah, it's a bizarre thing. It really is. And I just feel so lucky that I've just reacted that way.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, It's that getting over that embarrassment about, you know, and it's even we found that it's even like talking, like the use of different language, you know, and I know kind of Richie's probably spoke to kind of all this already, but see the amount of times that we come across people who are like, I don't know if you can say the word balls or if you can say ghoulies or nuts or whatever. And it's like, but we're talking to men who are notoriously bad for, you know, health checkups and that anyway. If I start sitting there going, hello, yes, and your testicles, you know, folk are going to go, no, you know, that's, and the kind of the analogy that I always have for it is, for nearly 20 years I was working in the NHS, so I was a nursing assistant, and part of my role a lot of times in some wards that I worked in was to kind of get the old dears ready if I was in the kind of elderly wards. And if you're maybe needing to take them for a pee or something like that, you know, you could get this wee sweet old woman, you know, twin set on, very kind of prim and proper. You know, you'd speak to her in a way that was different from, you know, old Jimmy who was in the army and quite rugged. And, you know, it's like, there was this one guy, you know, the nurse kept going, James, you have to go and urinate in the receptacle. And it's, Jimmy, go and do a piss in the bottle, you know, and then he's like, all right, son, what's she talking about? Yeah. You know, so it's using that colloquial language to meet your audience. And I think that's when you find that even the word balls, it's not overly offensive, you know, but it's strange that, again, testicular cancer is so out of the zeitgeist that those concerns still exist within, you know, businesses, schools, you know, sports clubs. It's really, really odd.
Yeah, and it's young guys as well. It's just how do you communicate in their way, in their language, and you've hit the nail on the head. Really, you know, you've got to speak their language so they feel more comfortable to talk about it. You really do. I don't think I try and go back to my experience of how I was sort of dealt with, really, but I guess because I was just almost scared or whatever, I just went along with it, really. I didn't really ever feel at ease. I don't know if there is a way to be at ease at all, to be honest with you. But I'm very grateful to the surgeon who treated me as well. I think he's an absolute superhero in my eyes, because he was pretty like blunt and whatever, we've got to take it out, it's going to happen here. Even put a little X on the one that he was going to take off to make sure I'm the right one. So immediately I felt pretty good about it. And but the weird thing about having the surgery is you just can't move. It's just incredible, isn't it? Because actually cutting into that sort of muscular tissue down there. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting. To not be able to move for about 2 weeks. Being such an active guy as well, that was the hardest thing. It's been sort of stuck in bed. So yeah. But yeah, it was just baby steps, and finally got myself out there and started running around again. So. Yeah.
How did you find, like, I've never asked anybody this, but how did you find, like, going in and then getting the general anaesthetic? Did you find that a weird experience?
Oh, that was scary, actually. Yeah. I can remember lying down in the operating theatre, and a nurse was holding my hand and sort of trying to calm me down, because I must have been like shaking or something. And then, you know, they put the mask on or whatever, and count from 10 backwards, and I think I got to 6 and I was out maybe. So really quickly. And then waking up in this room just full of other people who were completely knocked out. And it's slowly wake up like, what the hell is going on here? And completely just, and then within about half an hour, I said, oh yeah.
That's like, oh yeah, that's you try and move that 1 inch, and oh yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. I got really overwhelmed. Like, so there was a couple of students in as well. So when I was lying there, the room was tiny as it was, like the pre-theatre room, and I burst into tears, and then like a child, I went, thanks for looking after me, and then out I went. It was, like, I was so vulnerable. I had never felt so vulnerable in my life as to kind of going under a general anaesthetic, because I'd had a hernia operation when I was about 3 or 4, and I have vague memories of the whole thing, but nothing quite like that. But it was, and then waking up. But I was really fortunate. It's like, so my mate's stepdad was in getting surgery the same time as I was. So like, when I woke up, he was there, and he's like, my nickname's Chippy. So it's like, I stole it from my big brother. So so he's going, is Chippy okay? Chippy. And I woke up to hearing his voice going, yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. He's like, good son, I just wanted to make sure you were all right. And then they peeled him off. Like he wanted to wait until I was awake. So it's nice to have like a familiar face in a really odd situation.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, so it kind of made me feel good that, you know, a friend was there.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think if you're lucky to be in that situation, it's great. I had my dad with me, who's just, it hit him very hard actually, because he's naturally quite a big sort of worrier.
Right.
Anyway, my mum's sort of probably the stronger one of the two, who's not that emotional really, but my dad is definitely the I guess the guy who sort of affected him the most, I suppose. So he was with me in the surgery, and I come to sort of get the wheeling back to the room afterwards. I'm still sort of coming back, and his face was just like, oh my god, like just scared as hell and whatever. So I was like, oh Dad, you're just gonna have to go for a walk. You're not helping.
You're not helping any.
Yeah.
And I suppose like as well, like I've met a few people for Yorkshire over my kind of lifetime. Like he's quite a hardy breedy people as well. Like, and you tell it like it is. That must have been, you know, a good place to be. Like to have people like that around you, like your friends and things like that as well. Like to
I guess I kind of dealt it in that way as well. I'm not if it was intentional or not, but I kind of like just wanted to be kept busy, and I didn't really go to my friends and tell them a story straight away of what it was like or anything like that. And they obviously knew about it, but they weren't like, oh yeah, what's it like? What does it feel like? Anything like that. They're just like normal, just you know, just cracked on pretty much, which is refreshing. In terms of getting over the recovery and getting through it and the worry about it coming back and all that kind of stuff really. So yeah, I wasn't really that open about it, but of course if someone asked me, I'd go into it and be happy to tell you about it. And I just say, look, I'm just really lucky that at the end of the day I was really lucky because I did something about it. But in terms of sort of being a bit like Yorkshire, we're not that emotional, I suppose, especially my family. I guess we kind of just bat on really. I'm not that much of an emotional guy really, and I have to sort of like I could count on my hand the number of times I've ever really cried really.
Right.
But definitely emotion does take over me. I do get upset about things, and one thing that I guess that's affected me the most is I definitely feel more anxious about things.
Right.
Not necessarily about my health, but in life in general, which I think before I had the cancer, I wasn't that kind of person at all. So I think that's probably one of the long-lasting effects is definitely worrying about things more. But that could be to do with a number of things with the businesses growing, different challenges as well. So they're natural things really anyway. But yeah, I don't think I was really much of an anxious person before the surgery. So that's probably one of the long-lasting effects more than anything.
And do you think that's just because it was such like, you were having to face your mortality, I suppose, like because you know, you hit the nail on the head earlier as well. Like I think people sometimes will think testicular cancer, it's got a good survival rate, but see, at the point that you're told, all you hear is the word cancer. So within that, do you think that the whole experience of having cancer is the thing that's kind of, you know, made you feel a little bit more anxious about things in general?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. You know, I don't go through life walking on eggshells or anything like that, definitely not. But my mind definitely works in a different way. Definitely does. Starts to question things more. And it's not necessarily about my body or anything like that. It's just day-to-day life about things. Overthinking. Yeah. Definitely more of an overthinker now, which can be kind of unhelpful sometimes. But yeah, that's definitely something that's changed me as a person. But it's also made me a better person as well, more understanding, more compassionate as well. And definitely when it comes to health and whatever people have to go through, you know, I've seen myself as very lucky to most. I guess that's definitely something that's changed me. So I feel like I'm a better person for it. Yeah, definitely.
And you find that with a lot of guys' conversations, it does change you that kind of in that way, and it'll make you more driven, especially within like kind of the business aspect as well. You'll be, you know, it'll help in that regard, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I've come from a quite hard-working background anyway, so that was instilled to me at a young age, working hard. So yeah, we've never been shy of that. But as the business has grown, and you take on more responsibilities and more people as well, and you sort of always pressured in a business like ours because we had such a great 5-6 years of amazing growth and how to keep on growing. You're always under the pressure to think of that next thing that's really going to take off, really. And marketing plays a massive part of that as well. And we've done a lot of things that have not worked, and you've got to be a bit more savvy with your spending, really, because it can go much. If marketing, money doesn't go very far at all. It really doesn't. So it's thinking in different ways, because we were so successful from the brand itself. I mean, heck means what the heck, to give it a go, which is a bit of like a family motto of ours, really. Right. So not to be scared, just try things, and don't be scared to fail either. Right. Because failing is actually how you really sort of grow and learn things, really. And we failed a lot of things in business, that's for sure. But we come back stronger for it, and that's just how it is, really. And I guess that plays a part in my overthinking process as well. Yeah. So it's all sort of connected, really. And I didn't used to think like this, and it's made me a better person in business, I suppose, because I'm thinking more outside the box. But beforehand, we were just riding that sort of roller coaster of amazing growth and success. It was just basically down to the brand, really, and the great products we have. But now we've got to this stage where we have to, start thinking outside the box a bit more, and how do we become a real household brand and take it to that next level, really, which we're sort of challenged with at the moment. I'm finding it a little bit difficult. Right.
And I suppose then it's there'll be a lot impacted by COVID and all that. Would that kind of impacted?
Oh yeah, that's
you guys as well.
COVID for us as a business was fantastic because people could only go to supermarkets. So of course it was great for us, and we were lucky enough in our factory we weren't too affected by it. Right. There was no real cases, and I had it actually. I think I was about the only one.
Oh really?
So I let the sign down. I was like, oh no. So yeah, it was really like, make hay whilst the sun shines, I guess. And then, the world changed massively. The war in Ukraine and dealing with the inflation of that's been a massive challenge for the last 18 months. Yeah. And dealing with our retailers, because we deal with the big corporates of the world who can be great when the sun's shining, but when it's not, very, very challenging. Right. But that's just business at the end of the day. That's just what it is. But yeah, dealing with all that, and now the dust has settled now. Touch wood. Hopefully there's not going to be any big more global disasters, or there's that war in Israel at the moment, and Palestine as well. But there'll be something else around the corner. But for now, in terms of our sort of cost prices for the business, they're kind of stable, which is great news. Yeah. But there's always something around the corner. There's always something.
Oh, there's always going to be something that affects something. And politicians will make that happen, whether you want it to or not as well. That's the thing. Yeah. So you're saying that the word heck, so that's like just what the heck then?
Yeah, what the heck, that's really was. And when we came up with the brand, it was literally heck on shelf, and we came up with pretty much every flavour, and the packaging was pretty much every colour of the rainbow in what was quite a dark category. Everything was very sort of black packaging, traditional farmhouse feel. Yeah, yeah. And then we came with everything gluten-free, the chicken sausage as well. So we completely sort of invented the category. And we had lots of new shoppers come into the category as well. So the retailers were like, oh my God, you're growing it for us. So massive success story. But when our first listing was a Tesco listing with 800 stores, which is a big order to fulfill. Yeah. And we had no idea really if these letters on a pack were going to work. Right. And thankfully they did. They did, yeah. And what else made the business quite successful? We did a business documentary called The Fixer with Alex Polizzi. I don't know if she is the hotel inspector lady. Yeah. And she came into our business. It was like year 1 or 2. And we were pretty much, just very early. We had one big customer. And we're still working out of porta cabins. We had a small little factory, and we were small. And she came in and told her a bunch of numpties, and we didn't have a clue what we were doing, and she sort of had to go along with it. But that aired on BBC Two, and about 6 million people watched that. And a lot of them bought sausages the next day and want to know more about the business. Well, there you are. So if we hadn't done that programme, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. So yeah, it was worth it. And one thing we always say, we can't turn down sort of free TV, anything. So whatever it is, we're like, we'll do it.
We'll do it.
We'll do it 100%.
We're kind of the same as Cahonas. Like when me and Richie talk about stuff, it's like, can we go on that? Can we go on that?
Yeah.
You know, let's just get out there.
Yeah.
It's because it's interesting because like I don't know if it's all of Scotland, but certainly in Falkirk and I think Glasgow area, heck means to eat as well. So if I'm like, oh, I could heck. You know,
Really?
I'll say that, if I'm hungry. So that's why I think you maybe have a good Scottish market.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's if me and the boys are out, I'm like, who fancies a heck? You know, and that's...
No way.
Yeah, so if you're going to heck...
That must be why we're so successful up here. We actually do really well up here. That must be why. I've just... Wow, learn something every day.
And because that's why I was wondering about the name, if it had a similar thing down in England, but obviously not.
No, it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's why we do so well up here.
See, the branding just works in Scotland because it means something completely different.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah,
fantastic. Well, thanks for telling me. That's amazing. I have to play on that when we get back.
Exactly. I was thinking. I went, you've heard it here first, folks.
Brilliant. But we're literally saying it on the pack, aren't we? That's amazing.
I know, it's great, and I know that's the reason that I first bought the sausages was because I like, I fancy a heck, what do I need? And then you're in the supermarket and you're like, let's try these chicken ones, let's bash in, you know. So
that's brilliant. Fantastic. That's made my day actually knowing that. Wow.
Colloquialisms, you know, they're a wonderful thing, you know, especially when you can play on them. But so just to kind of take us back into it, you had said about dealing with kind of like being fit and healthy and having your cancer, and you've thankfully came through that unscathed as such. Have you got any has there been anything you've noticed out with it, you know, the kind of the mental aspect of it, like physically? Have you noticed anything that you kept after surgery and chemo and things like that?
No, I mean, I was quite an active, fit guy anyway. I played football a few times a week and actually always went to the gym anyway. But more of just to keep myself fit and healthy more than anything. And I find going to the gym these days, it actually helps me sleep incredibly well as well. It just knocks me off. I know if I've burnt a load of calories in that day, I sleep like a baby compared to if I'm just sat in the car or at my desk or whatever. It just completely changes.
Yeah.
But no, physically, I don't think so. No, I felt pretty... Of course, there's probably 3 months where I couldn't run as quick as I could, but no, that was pretty much it. The great thing about only having one testicle, everything else functions pretty well as well, which is the great stigma as well. You know, you feel the worst when it says, "Oh Christ, you've got one testicle. Am I going to be able to have a family?" and all those kind of things. Luckily everything's normal down there, which is great.
So you got kids?
One on the way,
one
actually.
On the way.
One's coming in June, which is fantastic. So
brilliant.
Which is great news. Yeah, thank you. And we're looking forward to that. We really are. Yeah. But no, luckily my sperm count when I've had it tested has always been pretty strong. Yeah. Which is great. Which is not the case for most people. So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of went through a wee weird fertility thing as well, but eventually, you know, my wife fell pregnant naturally as well, you know, and you kind of find yourself going, yes, I did it with one.
No, that's great. I can't wait to pull this joke and when he or she is born and say, oh, look how good looking he or she is. Imagine if I had two. You know, I can't wait to pull that one. I'm really looking forward to that one.
That's a good joke, mate. That's a good joke.
But no, lucky, and we're over the moon, and really happy. At this moment in time, everything's great. So really grateful. Yeah,
just get all your early nights in.
Right, okay. Yeah, we've got 2 dogs, and they've been pretty challenging in fairness. When they were puppies, but I'm a deep sleeper, so Liv's going to have to wake me up if she can't sleep, because she gets up and she doesn't wake me. So just give me a nudge, and I'm more than happy to help out. It's not my fault I don't wake up.
No, honestly, man, wait until you have that and I'm home for the first time. You'll be sleeping like on a knife's edge. You'll be like, what's that noise? What's that noise? But no, it's amazing, and I suppose that's why I like having conversations like this, because, you know, our hope is that this podcast isn't just going to reach the guys who are maybe having issues, but like partners as well, and especially like young, because it is a young man's disease. You're at the point of entering a new relationship, or you're in one and you're thinking about starting a family, and the fertility issue is something that, again, testicular cancer is low down, but men's fertility is even lower. And put those hand in hand, it's such a difficult world to kind of be in. I think you don't really know the impact that it has on the other person. I know when we were going through it, it was quite a difficult thing because my wife wanted to be a mother, because we already had our son, but we wanted to kind of grow our family, and with that maybe taken away from you was quite a kind of difficult period as well. So to be able to have these hopeful conversations and have people like my wife or anybody else out there who's worried about their husband after chemo, to be able to go, well, there's Jamie, he's got one and he's able to kind of father a child. It makes no difference, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And fertility is a strong one. It's I guess the frustration of not being able to have a child, and I've been told that you can't have a child. It must be absolutely devastating. So yeah, I sympathise with a lot of people going through that, and that's quite out there, I'd say, in fertility struggles more than testicular cancer, that's for sure. You see it on Instagram, especially from females. They're more open to talking about it, for sure.
Of course, yeah.
And you, because my wife follows a lot of influencers on that subject, really, and listening to their stories, it must be a real tough one, especially when you're that age where everyone's popping up left, right, and centre, and you feel like that you're not the only ones who can't have one. So yeah, I that's a tough one, definitely.
Yeah, and it does feel like that. It really does when you're trying and things aren't happening, and then you do feel like everybody else in there is having, but actually everybody else is probably just having the same struggles. It's just all tied in.
Hushed. It really is. Yeah, everyone could be having their own struggles, for sure. And people don't really talk about that as much as well. So there's definitely a link to it. But yeah, no, we're very grateful and very happy that luckily we've got one on the way. So yeah, it's great.
All the best people are born in June anyway. That's definitely when I was born. But so in terms of the kind of you and the company and going forward, the kind of health stuff that you do, you do a lot of campaigns and things like that. I mean, have you got any more planned, or is it just something that comes up ad hoc?
Well, speaking to you, I'd definitely like to do something again to raise awareness for testicular cancer. That's definitely, because it's so close to my heart, and because I've sort of been so caught up with the business, we did a lot when it first happened because it was very raw. But no, definitely I'd like to do something on that basis. And then fertility is definitely something that's quite close to our heart as well. So raising awareness for that, if we can do in some way, that would be good as well, because it's a very lonely place to be when you're struggling to have kids. It really is. Yeah. And then of course, breast cancer is a big one for us. We've got more girls than boys in the business, that's for sure. And that's a very, very common disease, and we'd love to do something again on that basis. But we're not just saying, oh Christ, there's a good cause there, we want to work with them. It's got to have something that's really sort of close to the business, and if someone in the business has been affected by something, we'd love to get on board and support them in any way we can as well. Yeah. So yeah, it's just such I feel like we have a responsibility as a business, and being in the public eye and being in nearly every supermarket, we can tell our story, we can raise awareness that way, and it's just that simple message: go and get checked. Really easy. Yeah,
and it is so easy just to kind of to do it. And I think, like we talk about it in our talks all the time, the advantage, especially when it's testicular cancer, you don't need any equipment. You just have to have a pair of hands, and have a hot bath and a shower, and then you're able to do that check, and it's easy. It's not like obviously the females have to go in if it's the mammogram machine, and that's a whole complicated thing. So for guys, it's so easy and so treatable. I think that's the key thing for us in terms of that message, and getting that help to just say it's okay, guys. check. Not every lump and bump you feel is going to be cancer, because again, in terms of the statistics, they're relatively low for testicular cancer, but it's still young men, getting hit by something as well. So it's something that we kind of really hope to make sure that we kind of maintain that message. Get checked. It's so easy.
And you can live a perfectly normal life. And I've nearly 8 years or something now since I had it, and it really is the back of my mind. Unless I get the odd ache down there, then it kind of, oh Christ. But it's testament to the recovery, and you can live a completely normal life and recover fine if you just get it done really early, and that's it. You live a completely normal life and you almost forget about it. Which is probably the strongest message I can give, really. It might change you, make you a bit more compassionate, which is a great thing, and more understanding to other people going through these illnesses. But they're really good things, and that's one of the, how do I put it? Not the blessing of having testicular cancer. How should I put it? In a way that's,
I don't know. I think you could use the word blessing of it, or it's like
it changes a person for a good way. So you have to go through a hard time really to see the light, I suppose. And that's definitely what's happened to me, I guess.
I always talk about it in the terms of me. I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you if I hadn't had testicular cancer. I wouldn't be doing the job that I have. If I hadn't had it. And I probably would have been, naively ignorant to these types of things, because I've said it 1,000 times, but the few people that I knew who had testicular cancer was Lance Armstrong, John Hartson, and Alan Stubbs. That was my world view, and that was it. There was nobody else around me or near me, or it seemed even more a rarer of a thing growing up. And when I don't know if you did, but when I was going through my treatment, I never actually met anybody else that was going through it. Did you?
No, nobody. My family is pretty clear of all sort of illnesses. My grandfather died of prostate cancer, but he was fairly old anyway, and that's an old man's disease in a way, isn't it? So, but no, apart from that, nothing at all. Didn't know anybody who had cancer, not a young person or anything. And it's crazy to think that. But now, as I got older, we're 33 now, you do hear of people getting illnesses, and I don't know if it's because of that age bracket or people more open to talking about it. I'm not too sure. Everything when I was younger was more hush-hush, and nobody really wanted to know if they had an issue or an illness. So I think that's just the times we live in now. Everyone's more open, I guess. Especially when it comes to sort of social media, and everyone kind of wants to. It's a really quick way to spread the message, right? 10 years ago it wasn't that accessible, I guess, or people didn't feel that comfortable to do so. So I think time's changing, and it's definitely the kind of work that you guys do, and many others, I guess, that are trying to spread that word of not being embarrassed, and you can help people by telling your story. And that's what I hope as well. Like, with every guest that comes on, somebody's going to link into it for whatever way, and see you sitting here talking about it. And again, like that guy that you knew is going to go, do you know what? I maybe do feel something. Look at those two guys talking about it. Like, I'll go talk to my mate, or I'll just go and get seen. I think that's the kind of big thing. And it's funny the change that it does have in you. I think like that compassionate thing is such. It seems to be universal across everybody that I've spoke to who's had testicular cancer. It's that one switch almost that. Not that nobody was compassionate before, but there's that real change of like a real understanding and kind of going, no, I'm going to take the time to listen to this person, or which is a lovely thing to happen, I suppose. Absolutely, yeah. No, I think that's just the strength of it, I guess. And I think what the work you're doing is fantastic. It really is. So I was more than jumped to the chance to come speak to you. I was like, So I get asked to do a few talks, and mostly business related. Like, oh no, thank you. But this is something that's kind of really close to me, and I had to. If it helps, definitely, 100%.
And it's gonna. And I said this to my wife recently. I said, we want to do as many of these as we can, but say today was the last one, right? We have 8 episodes out where there's 8 guys talking about their experience, and that's just out there forever now. You know, we literally have that. In 10 years' time, somebody can look back at this episode and listen to you, or listen to Todd, or listen to, you know, the other guys that we've had on, and be like, oh yeah, it's not much has changed in terms of, like, you know, how guys feel about it. So yeah, we are so grateful that you made the trip up here as well. You know, obviously it's a long old drive, and
I was saying before fair that what it is, I don't know what it is about Scotland, but I've been coming here since I was a young lad to work mostly, and I've just got this sense of just at ease when I come up here. I completely switch off from everything that's going on back at home and feel completely stress free. I don't know if it's the Scottish air or whatever it is. I just feel so much more chilled. So yeah, it's an absolute joy to come up here. I really do. I love it. I just love it. You might not feel the same because you live here, but I don't know.
No, I do. Like again, like, see, whenever because of this job as well, I get to drive a lot of places in Scotland that I've maybe never been. And when we done a talk up in Inverness, I got to see how beautiful Scotland is, you know, and it's not to say, you know, when you drive into England it's rubbish, but it's the further north you go.
We'd love to have you down at the factory, and you know, if you want to do something joint together down there, you know, there's you know, quite good local schools in our community and sports clubs and all that kind of stuff. So if you ever wanted to venture that way, I wouldn't say do a talk at our factory, because we sort of heavily have an Eastern European workforce, so I feel like everything we'll say will just go in vain, and they'll be outside smoking within 10 minutes afterwards.
Yeah, so, love it.
Yeah.
Although not anything we can do as well, you know, it's like it's grateful to have the opportunity to kind of to talk to people like yourself and people who are kind of just open to spreading that awareness. I think that's the big thing, you know, for us. But yeah, again, thank you so much for coming on today. I suppose this is the kind of point, you know, if you want to kind of, like, you know, plug the business and do your socials and things like that, you can wire away.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm rubbish at this. I never normally have to do this, so it's literally. But no, yeah, we supply every single major retailer in the UK, and we've always got exciting new flavours, so look out for in your local store for us, really. And it's you know, we're a fast growing business, and we've got a fantastic social following on Instagram, so Heck Food at Instagram, and give us a follow and a like. And the marketing girls are fantastic in terms of their content, and they always come up with quirky, fun ideas, and do quite a lot on TikTok as well. The crazy dances and all that kind of stuff, which is great to see. So yeah, they really are sort of the magic part of our business, really. And we're a fun brand, and the guys who work for us are fun people. And it comes across, and hopefully that comes across with what everyone sees on the shelf as well. So yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to come speak and plug the business.
No, you're more welcome. And it's that if you fancy a good heck, you know.
Well, I'm stealing that one. I didn't realise that, so I'm going to tell the guys of the business. Did you realise why we have such strong sales in Scotland? It's because we're speaking their language.
Exactly, you're speaking directly to us.
Yeah, exactly.
So just remember to check your meatballs, folks.
But, might move up here. Let's get a factory up here. Let's base ourselves up here.
You should. Just because it's great. No, thanks, man.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, folks, that's a wrap for this season of Check 1 2. We've had an incredible journey with amazing guests, and we really want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. But don't worry, we're not done yet. We'll be taking a short break and returning in the new year with even more inspiring guests and engaging conversations. So thank you to our producer Cam and podcast studio owner Mark for giving us the platform to deliver our message in a quality that makes me feel like I'm not just playing at this whole podcast thing. So before we sign off, we want to share something important with you. You know, as you know, our annual Christmas campaign, Check Your Baubles, has made a significant impact in raising awareness of testicular cancer over this last 9 years, almost a decade. With your support, we've reached tens of millions of people worldwide. So now we're calling on you to join us in the hashtag Check Your Baubles challenge once again, and it's really easy to participate in. All you have to do is take a picture with some Christmas baubles, nominate or tag 3 ballsy individuals to do the same thing, share your photo on social media with the hashtag check your baubles and then tag Cahonas Scotland. It's that easy. So let's come together and spread the word about testicular cancer awareness. Your participation can make a real difference and potentially save lives. This Christmas, let's give the gift of an important message. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for being a part of the Check 1 2 podcast.